What is up? We are back with another episode of the Gains by Pat podcast. This episode is unofficially sponsored by Bud Light. I've been drinking a lot of Bud Lights lately. That does not have anything to do with the topic that we're going to talk about today. The topic, fitness wise, we're going to talk about is how to get back on track with nutrition. Like you're trying to lose fat, you're trying to lose weight, and you've just been having like way too many Bud Lights. The Bud Lights have not been in moderation. You've been having endless pizza and burgers and donuts and cookies, and you just can't get back on track. You don't know what to do. And I think the biggest thing is taking a step back and having a game plan and focusing on these things that I'm going to tell you. So one, you got to know, you got to want to make a change. I think that's the biggest thing. You got to be ready and willing to want to make a change. You got to look yourself in the mirror or your stomach in the mirror and be like, wow, I've had way too many Bud Lights and too much pizza lately. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that wake up call. I know for me, the times where I've wanted to make and been the most motivated to make the most fat loss progress have been when I've had periods of time where I thought I was good. I thought I was good. I was like, nah, I'm staying overall in good shape. I'm, being mindful. I see my reflection right here. That's interesting on my window. But you feel like you're being mindful. You're still getting in some workouts. Maybe it's not as hard as you used to or as many as you used to. Wow, refreshing actually. I don't know why I feel like I think it's because I just brushed my teeth. Where at first, when I first took a sip of that, it like wasn't as appetizing as it normally is. All right, it's settling in. It's settling in. And yeah, I brushed my teeth because I was expecting just to record this and then go to bed shortly after. But I it's been a long day. It's been a long work day. So anyway, how to get back on track with nutrition, what to do, what to focus on. So yeah, I think that the times when I've gotten back on track and really been like, all right, it's time to buckle down and make some fat loss progress and really, really lock in on stuff. It's been when I have literally looked myself in the mirror physically and mentally, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. When I actually look myself in the mirror and and I'm like, wow, you have gained more weight than you think you have. Like, you do not look good right now. Like, you don't. You don't look good. Like, your face might look good. You still might be like, feel good about how your face looks. Maybe you got a nice haircut, feel good about your clothes. Body, though, and how that's overall making you feel, no bueno. And so when you look yourself in the mirror, it's like, all right, I got to make a change. These are the changes that you got to make with nutrition to get back on track. Obviously, you got to have some level of like initial desire, drive, a reason why you're doing it, a little initial push of motivation that gets you going. But then you got to have these things in place and do these things in order to actually stick with it and make fat loss progress and make a lot of strides with your goals. So let's dive into it. All right. So, number one, I think the first thing is that you need to stop worrying about how bad you have been eating or drinking lately. Like, there's literally nothing you can do to control what you did in the past, what you did or did not do. I think a lot of times people get so caught up in being like, oh, if I would have just had three Bud Lights instead of 12, I would have been in a better place. It's like, well, you didn't. You were watching Sunday football and you went out for brunch, and instead of bottomless mimosas, which probably is more calories, you ended up having three Bud Lights at brunch, and then you went and watched the next game. You had five Bud Lights then, and then you had four at the last game. There's 12 for you. Do the math. And then yeah, so you had like 900 extra calories than you intended to, and voila, there it is. But is you thinking about it gonna change anything? Not necessarily. Maybe you can, and this, we're gonna get to this in a second down the list here, but like, work being like, oh my gosh, I was so bad about it. I was terrible. I was horrible. That's bad. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's not, who's that? What's that solve? It doesn't do anything. It's like, all right, you did it. Let's move on. Let's keep it pushing. Let's get the train running. We got to get the train running with these healthier habits so you can make fat loss and weight loss progress. All right. So you can't change what you ate yesterday, last week, last month. You can't change what you drank. All you can do is change it now. Instead of five Bud Lights, instead of five donuts, instead of the whole sleeve of Oreos, you change it now. All right. All right. You had those habits in the past. You did it in the past. We can tweak them to make more progress. All right. Number two, getting back on track. Uh, you need to have some kind of game plan in place with how you're going to approach nutrition. Like, I'm a big proponent of not doing keto or any extreme diet because I don't think it's actually something that most people, probably you, are going to stick with long term. But you need to have some kind of game plan with it. You need, and I'll tell you what, I'll tell you how I would go about nutrition in a second, but you need to have some kind of plan. Without a plan, if you're just like willy nilly, like, oh, I'm going to generally eat healthier, you're going to do it for like a day. And then what? And then what do you do? And then, like no one really accomplishes anything just willy-nilly going through the motions. It's like going to the gym without a workout program to follow. It's like going to your work. It's like going to your work and you show up at your job and they're like, all right, time to get to work, Jimmy. It's time to work today. And you're like, you didn't tell me what to do. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. I don't know what to do. And you just sit there all day. And maybe you check your emails, you reply to some emails, but it's like, do I have a purpose here? I don't know. I'm working towards something, but I don't know what it is. You want to get a promotion, but it's like you don't even know how to get there. That's like you just aimlessly starting to eat healthier again. Like, it's not going to lead to the progress that you want. You need to have a plan in place. So whether that be you do decide to do keto or you do decide to do Whole30 or whatever the case is, in my opinion, the best way to go about it and the most realistic, and this plan doesn't have to be this immaculate thing. You don't need to like find the encyclopedia of fat loss in order to do this. It can simply be like, I'm going to focus on one or two things, or I'm going to do this like dieting approach, and you roll with it. So, in my opinion, things that you could and should do. One, if you're going to be a little bit more meticulous and want to really like dive in and kind of, I think, maximize progress, I think it's one, having a calorie goal and tracking your calories, having a range of calories to work with, and then having a protein goal. That's going to allow you, if you're focusing on those two things, in order to lose weight, lose fat, it comes down to being in a calorie deficit. So if you know exactly how many calories you're taking in, then you know, and you can determine then if you're going to lose weight or not. So say that you have this calorie goal, you're sticking with it, and you don't lose any weight. Then it's like, all right, that calorie goal is not working. Probably need to reduce it a little bit in order to keep making progress. Then you reduce it by 100, 150 calories, and you stick with that and you start making progress losing fat. Now you have a structure in place so you know what to do at each point in time. If you had, if you're mindful of calories and you had one day where it's like way too many calories, you had too many Bud Lights, then you can be like, all right, I had a couple of days where I wasn't as consistent. I need to get back to being more consistent. You have a plan and structure to follow. So also, side note, and the actual real sponsor of this podcast is Realistic Gains, my coaching program, my fitness coaching program, www.realisticgains.com. When you sign up with Realistic Gains, me and other coaches within Realistic Gains, we help you set your nutrition goals with your calorie goals and your protein goals in order for you to make progress losing weight, losing fat. So if you're trying to get back on track, little side note, Realistic Gains is the move. But yeah, you need to have a set kind of plan with it. So I think tracking calories, protein is a good place to start. Another thing, if you don't want to track calories, which it can be like a little bit tedious at first, and a little bit just like tough, or maybe you don't have enough time, or you've done it before, didn't like it. It still ultimately comes down, losing weight, losing fat comes down to total calories, being in a calorie deficit. But you can make changes with nutrition that aren't just tracking calories. Like, it's two different things. It's either one, cutting back on the portion sizes of foods that you've been having. So again, it's like, instead of having 10 Bud Lights, it's having 3 or 4 Bud Lights, 5 Bud Lights. And instead of having a whole entire pizza, it's having a whole small pizza or a whole medium pizza, or it's having instead of 5 pieces of pizza, it's 3 pieces of pizza. So cutting back on portions of the fun stuff that you normally have, or it's working in more healthy stuff. So more fruits, some more veggies, stuff that's going to be more filling for less calories. So ideal situation, an ideal scenario in order to be in a calorie deficit is one, working in some more of these like healthier things into the mix that will help you make progress, and that's going to fill you up for less calories. And then once you're more full, and normally we as people are then going to have a smaller portion of other stuff. So if you first aim to have this like these healthier foods, but then you also have a little bit of the razzle dazzle of things you enjoy, then that's the best of both worlds. It allows you to cut back on calories enough to be in a calorie deficit, but you're still making changes that are gonna that are still gonna allow you to live your life and do your thing. So having a game plan, again, some kind of thing. Pick out a dieting routine, pick out like a dieting strategy, pick out a few habit changes that you're gonna make, but have something that you are sticking with, not just willy-nilly being like, all right, I guess you could just be like, I'm gonna have one healthier meal per day. Again, that's like a literal strategy and something you could do. So have a plan of attack and how you're gonna approach nutrition. Do not be willy nilly. Number three, go grocery shopping based around your plan. You need to have food at home. You need to have food at home. If you are leaving it up to chance in the moment and you're riding around town, you get hungry, you're going to stop at Burger King or Arby's. And we don't want that. Or McDonald's. That's a little better. Uh, uh, you're gonna get a double wrap burrito from Chipotle instead of getting an actual higher protein, lower calorie bowl that's gonna help you lose fat. So I think and you can do that too. So we'll talk about that in a second. But have groceries at home so that once you have groceries that align with your plan. So if it's, maybe it's one healthier meal per day, have groceries that actually align with you having that healthier meal each day, something with veggies, a protein source, something like that. That's what you want to focus on. Um, the other thing with that, is like with grocery shopping. Here's a couple things, little quick grocery shopping tips. It's like you want to get protein sources. So a few quick protein sources you could work in are going to be eggs, Greek yogurt, protein powder, those like pre-made protein shakes, cottage cheese, those little flavored tuna packets, chicken breast, lean ground turkey, 93, 99% lean ground turkey or beef, salmon, tuna, just like those actual tuna steaks, shrimp. So if you're working any of those in, those are all high protein and those are going to help you be more full for less calories. So those are some items to work in when you're grocery shopping, and then getting some kind of veggie. So I like getting just frozen bags of broccoli, frozen bags of any veggies, like canned green beans. Like those are all, again, like still have some nutrients in them, are normally more cost effective and like better time wise than like preparing your own fresh veggies and doing that whole thing. It's all the same calories, and there's even, especially with the frozen stuff, they say that the nutrients that you get with that is oftentimes like better than what you get fresh. Just because they like freeze it right when they like cut it or however they go about it, as opposed to the stuff that's fresh. One, just with the how life is, like it will go bad quicker, and you can't use it, and it's like out, they cut it out the ground, however, I don't know, broccoli and all that works, but they cut it, they chop it up, and then it just like by itself, I would imagine in some kind of cooling system or something, they preserve it as best as they can, but it's not going to be preserved as well as frozen stuff is. So like if you're really on the nutrient train, I don't know, do your own research, but that's the word on the street. Either way, get whatever veggies you want when you're at the store, but that's what I do. Fruit, I love fruit. Same concept. Frozen fruit is great. I sometimes get like those like bowls of like pre-made like cut up fruit just because it's easier to stay on track by doing that. So those are some main things to do, and you can kind of work on like staples of it. I also like oatmeal in the morning. Um, for me, like I don't really get like rice or quinoa. Sometimes I like potatoes, sometimes actually, but I feel like for my like carb sources, like my fun calories, I normally have like some kind of like sweets or desserts, or fruit is a carb. Fruit and veggies technically are carbs, but more fruits are a little bit higher carb content and calorie content, but not a ton. But I normally like to save my like other calories that aren't going towards like the protein sources, the veggies, the fruits, for more fun stuff, just so I can kind of have best of both worlds, but also still be mindful of calories. So go grocery shopping based around what your plan is. That's another thing. So what we have so far, we have one, you need to be willing and look yourself in the mirror, ready to make a change. Two, I guess I kind of messed these orders up, but two, have a set, or two, to stop worrying about how bad you were before and just focus on what you can do moving forward. Three, have a plan in place with fitness, with nutrition, so that you can actually have structure and not just willy-nilly it. Four, go grocery shopping, have foods at home that you can eat and or make. Number five, here we go. have a few healthier go-to meals that you can have no matter what. They're always tasty to you, whether it be from Chipotle, from Chick-fil-A. It can be, it's fast. It can be fast food stuff too. Like I used to. There's a period in time in life when I would get Chipotle every single day, no exaggeration. If there was one closer, I would probably get it 3, 4 times a week, but it's not walking distance. I got to drive. It's like a 40-minute round trip. I'm not going to do that all the time. So uh, yeah, that's what I would say. You gotta have some go-to like meals when you're out. My go-to meals when I'm out. I'm gonna tell you my tips from Chipotle and Chick-fil-A. So Chipotle, you get a bowl. You get the lettuce on the bottom. So technically a salad if we're being proper. You get the lettuce on the bottom. You get a half scoop of white rice. People are always like, I thought brown rice was healthier. It doesn't really matter for weight and fat loss. It's all about total calories. White and brown rice taste the same. Brown rice tastes like absolute dookie. So, not that I've had dookie, but brown rice just tastes more like a better description. Brown rice tastes like the earth would taste. And I've tasted dirt before, not purposely all the time, but when I was younger, I've tasted it. It literally tastes like dirt or like sand. It's like not it. It's not the move. It's really like grainy and like just nasty. So white rice is just tastier. So I get that. Half scoop of white rice, half scoop of black beans or pinto beans, whatever you like. Fajitas, and then I get either double chicken or lately I've been doing a scoop of chicken and a scoop of that newer steak they have. Chef's kiss, exquisite. It's great. And then I get tomatoes. The mild salsa is what they make me tell them. Mild salsa. I get a little dabble of the green salsa, a little verde, a little medium salsa. And then I'll get sometimes when I'm feeling a little frisky, I'll get a little corn in there. And when I'm feeling even friskier, I'll get a little dabble of cheese, and then I'll get sometimes a little bit of lettuce on top if I want a little extra crunch for 0 calories. But right there, that bowl is going to be around like 500 calories and like 40, 45, 50 grams of protein. It's great, quick option, super great, quick, simple, high protein, tasty, all the things that we want. The other one from Chick-fil-A. So normally what I do is I get like the 8 or 12 piece grilled nuggets. That's going to be like 200 calories or 150 calories and like 32 to 40 grams of protein. And then I'll get the market salad, and then I'll get the toppings and dressing on the side. I get the low fat vinaigrette, balsamic vinaigrette, or Italian or whatever it is. I don't really use the toppings, but it has like fruit on top, and I think like some cheese and then chicken. So like without the toppings, and then you add the dressing, it's like another like 200, 250 calories, and I think like 30-ish grams of protein. So if you do that, one, it's going to be like OD crazy filling. Two, it's going to be like 70 grams of protein and only like 450 calories. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. It's all about total calories and protein. That's what you're going to focus on. So that's my go-to. And then you can have some go-to options at home as well. Like my current, I'll run down my current go-to healthier home options that I have that help me kind of stay on track, lower calorie, higher protein. But any of these, there's so many different options out there. Like I know, there's a lot of different people on social media that have a lot of different high protein, low calorie options that you can whip up and make. I am all about simplicity in my head. And I know these recipes I see people make are like not over the top complicated, but it seems complicated. It seems overwhelming. So yeah, I don't always make those, but I do make my own. But yeah, I gotta give it a shout out. So Cook Like I'm Book, Calvin, that's my dog. He's got some great recipes, exquisite recipes, great recipes is under hyping him. And then also my guy Kyle, Tasty Shreds. Amazing recipes there as well. They're both phenomenal humans as well. Love those guys. They have really good recipes. Check them out on YouTube, and are they on YouTube? They got practice on YouTube, but not solely YouTube. TikTok and Instagram is their main mojo. And then my current go-to meals I normally have. Actually, this is what I've done for a long time. I literally one in the mornings. What I've been doing is I'll do oatmeal, a packet of oatmeal, like non-fat or like low sugar oatmeal. Sometimes I do plain, but I've been getting like the brown sugar version because it's like a little bit more flavor and it's only like 10, 20 extra calories if you do like the low sugar joint. I'll microwave that, make that, and then I add a scoop of Legion's plant-based vanilla protein powder, and then like a scoop of powdered peanut butter. Then for some reason, I don't know why, like the vegan or like plant-based like protein powder from Legion, like mixes up a little bit more thick and it makes the oats like a little bit more thick and filling. And that's why I like it a lot better. So I mix that up and it's like just a big bowl of goodness for only like 250 calories. So that's like one of the go-tos I have. And then I either mix up like eggs or I don't know. Sometimes I get like egg white bites. Like Trader Joe's has some of those like egg white bites that like a Starbucks mimic type of thing. Or if you are really feeling the egg shortage right now and they're like OD expensive for you, Greek yogurt, have like a Greek yogurt, have a protein shake, and then I normally have fruit with that too, like a banana or like like some frozen peaches or something like that on the side. And then lunch, normally what I do is I get like either I'll get like a it's like a wild hack right here. So two different things I'll do. I either get a bag of frozen veggies and I'll cook up ground turkey and I just mix those together and then I add whatever like sauce I'm feeling, like whatever like meal that I'm really craving, whether it be like Mexican food or like Chinese food or whatever, any kind of like Asian based food. Um, so I'll either add like salsa on top, or I'll add soy sauce on top, or I'll add like pasta sauce on top. So it kind of gives it like its own kind of unique flair, just depending on what kind of sauce you add to it. And it's going to be like again low calorie, high protein. So I do that for a meal, and then I'll have some kind of fun on the side. And then another thing that I sometimes do is I'll get lettuce, like just spinach, arugula, whatever lettuce you want, and then I'll get like a microwave meal that's like a higher protein microwave meal. And sometimes those meals they come with like just a ton of rice or like noodles or something. So what I'll do is I'll like scoop out, I'll microwave it obviously first, then I'll scoop out like the protein source, the veggies, and then like half of the like carb stuff, like the carbs in it. And then I'll put that on top of the lettuce and then I mix it all together. So it's like this like kind of filling jumbo like salad that is flavored based around whatever that microwave meal is. Like I'm a big I love Indian food. And there's this like chicken paneer. It's like the little like the spinach cream, kind of spinach creamy sauce, I believe is how I would probably describe it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I would describe it. But I love that. And so I'll microwave that, and then I'll put like a little bit of like the rice that they have, and I'll mix that together, and then I put that on top of lettuce, and then I mix that up. It's very good. That like I know some people would be like, "Bro, what are you doing? That's gross." It's super tasty and filling for low calories. Try it out. So those are my go-tos. All right, we're on to the next tip to get back on track with nutrition. So we got some things. I gave a lot of tips on some go-to meals. And yeah, that's how I kind of go about it. Whenever I'm like struggling to get back on track, I'm like, all right, I just want to get my go-to meals. I want to get some of these. I'll be on track. I'll be in a good place at that point. Um, the next thing, I think you got to take it one meal and one day at a time. I think oftentimes people's biggest mistake with nutrition is that they think about being healthy permanently and they think that this is like a if they start eating healthy now they got to eat just like they got to eat just like broccoli and unflavored chicken breast for life and they can't ever have a donut or fun foods. Rather you can work that stuff in whenever you want, day in and day out or week in and week out, but just in more moderation. But you do need, yeah, obviously you got to have some like go to again like high protein low calorie meals. But when you just think about it one day at a time and don't get too caught up in being all, my gosh, my hair looks just ratchet right now. We don't get too caught up in eating healthy for months and months and months on end. It makes it a lot easier. And I know that's such a cliche thing, like just take it one day at a time, take it 1 week at a time. But when you really buy in and you're like, all right, I can't control what happens tomorrow. I can't control what happens next week, but I know that I can follow through today, hit my plan with nutrition today, whatever it is, whether it be tracking calories or making whatever change with nutrition that you want. It makes it a lot less daunting. And then it's like, all right, I followed through today. It's almost like a little game with yourself. It's like, all right, I have an X amount of calorie goal I want to hit today. I gotta, make some tweaks. I gotta plan it out so I stay on track today. and like you're almost like competing with yourself. It's like a little like mini puzzle that day. And then once you actually do like hit that goal for that day or that week, that's such a great and fulfilling feeling. So you got, gotta draw a line in the sand at some point and be like, all right, like it's time to make progress. It's time to make some shit happen. But I think once you do that, and you start to get in that groove of like, all right, you followed through for one day, you followed through for a week, and then you literally just like reset every single day, and you're like, all right, it's a new day, time to get back to it, be on the ball with whatever my plan of attack is, and you follow through with it. That's a really good feeling mentally, and that like sense of fulfillment does a lot for us as people. And then eventually, like as you keep stacking the days, that's when a lot of progress is made with your body and with your goals. And then it's like, all right, it's worth it. It's working. I'm going to keep going. And it becomes like a lot less daunting at that point. But when you're restarting, you really need to take it literally like, all right, I'm going to focus on being on track with this meal, not going overboard, not having, a sleeve of Oreos, not doubling down on an ice cream sandwich, just sticking to the meal I had and maybe like a little something fun, tasty, and not going like overboard on the portions. When you follow through with that, then you're like, all right, I can do this. I can do this. And I think that's another thing too. Literally, like remind yourself over and over again that you can do this. There was one time when I was really struggling with nutrition. This was June of 2019, June and like August of 2019, actually. Yeah, August, and no, July of 2019. It was summer. I was living in LA, first summer in LA. It was the first time I'd ever moved away from Ohio. I was by myself, figuring a lot out. It was like an interesting time of life for me because I was like in transition early on, starting my business. Uh, didn't have a ton of friends out there, and I was just like eating way too much, like going crazy with food. There's like a donut shop right up the street that I would go to like every night. It was 24/7. Whenever I was like feeling kind of anxious or down or whatever, I'd go there. Remember, I used to go to IHOP, all you can eat pancakes by myself, and just like smack 8 pancakes for fun, for funsies. That was good times. There's also a Mexican restaurant down the street that had like $5 burritos that I would just go and crack like 2 to 3 of them at a time. I was a very just like stressful, emotional eater at that period of time. And I remember when I was getting back on track with nutrition, I followed these same exact principles. And I was like 195, had gained a lot of body fat, was not looking or feeling good, was not working out as much, just not in a good place, like mentally at all. And I remember many, many times I had a little mantra to myself. Like every day when I was like about to go get ice cream or go get donuts, I would like be walking there, like just off like the instinct of me doing it before. And I'd be like, no, bro, like don't do that. You don't need it right now. You do not need to do that. You got this. I would literally say out loud, like, you got this, you got this. And then I would repeat it back to myself and be like, I got this, I got this. It probably sounded so crazy, but it got me through that point in life. And it's crazy because like that summer going into that fall was like so monumental for my fitness goals, but also like my career and my business at that point in time. Like I had been posting on social media for years, 2 years straight with no real growth. And that was like right when TikTok was starting to get popular, and I was like looking for what to do next to try to keep growing my brand. But I had my own things I was working on, and like that, like July, August, September is really when I like figured it out with myself, like fully figured it out. Like I was in this new place, I was emotionally eating a lot. I kind of figured it out. By October of 2019, I was like back to having a 6 pack and was like, yo, I did this shit. Like I felt good about myself. And then I started posting on TikTok in October, November when I was like lean again and looking a lot better again. And a lot of the videos that I first posted on TikTok were of me like showing workout tips, but like also showing that I had abs and being like, this is what you do to actually lose body fat with your workouts. But I wasn't really talking about nutrition yet. But the things that I was implementing were things I started to make videos on. And again, these are the things that I was doing at that point in time. So uh, that's like I haven't really told that story before, but it's crazy how that all kind of aligned. Once I like figured it out, stayed consistent, took it one day at a time. I remember it's literally like one meal, one day at a time, and that carried me over, and had a lot of positive momentum to not only with my fitness goals, that I was able to pretty much since then have like I lost fat then, lost a lot of fat, and was able to keep most of it off. I had like a little period of time in like April of 2022 where I gained a little bit more body fat, but I also had like a lot more muscle then than I did in 2019. So like I got back up to 195, but it was definitely like a leaner 195. But yeah, ever since then, like I've been able to lose fat, keep it off, and a lot of it is from these same principles that I'm talking about right now. Um, yeah, and then the last one, I think this is where you do kind of want to reflect on a little bit of like the past and like what didn't go as well. So I would say think about what got you off track. Like I think sometimes, whatever the case is, people have made fitness progress before, they were in shape before, and something got them off track. Obviously, there's many different life things that happen. Like you have a kid, you get into a relationship, work is super busy, family stuff, you move to a new place. Like all these things are big life adjustments where stress eating and nutrition is sometimes the thing that we feel like we have the most control of, but then we turn that into like, we're comfort eaters and emotional eaters, and we end up way overeating on foods, and kind of going overboard on drinks or whatever the case is. And so I think taking a step back to be like, all right, what got me off track? Like, what was the reason behind it? What are like my stressors? What are causing me to be stressed? For me in that situation when I was in LA, it was simply that. Like, I felt like I wasn't really in control. One, also, let's just keep it real. Food is so good. Like, food is so good. If calories didn't count, I would be feasting. I'd spend my whole life feasting. I'd spend my whole life eating. It's probably a lie, but um, food is just really good. And then also, it's like the time we have to eat is oftentimes when we're like with ourselves. Like I think when we overeat, it's not like we're overeating like out with people. It's like oftentimes the time we spend with ourselves, and that's the time that we like that's our personal time. And food is something that's like oftentimes a comforting thing until it's not, until like we don't like the results of that side of things. So that's also why I'm so like such a big fan of like, and why I talk so much about building a good relationship with food, because like food is a comforting thing. Like even if you're on your game with fitness goals, I still get comfort out of having ice cream or a donut. Like it makes me feel good, or having like a pasta dish, or like making a big meal at home and just like crashing it, eating that while I'm watching Netflix. Like that brings me joy still. So I think having a good relationship with food and understanding how it works is important. But I think understanding kind of what the reason is you got off track and how you can avoid that moving forward. So maybe again, if you like catch yourself like kind of getting into that cycle where it's like you have all these stressful things going on and you're just taking it out on food, it's like, all right, we got to find a new kind of outlet to take that stress out, or we actually need to work through these problems that are going on in other aspects of life. Not to get too therapy with you, but I think that's an important thing as well. Like you got to take that stuff out in other aspects of life and on other aspects of life. So, that's what I would say. It's kind of the main things are that have helped me, and I think can help you a lot as you're getting back on track with nutrition, and you want to make a lot of progress with your goals. So, let's focus on that. If you're kind of in that spot, or if you find yourself in that spot in the future, refer back to this. Again, gotta kind of want to make a change and kind of know that it's time to make it happen. Two, you gotta have to have some kind of game plan in place with it. Three, go grocery shopping. Four, have go-to meals. Five, take it one day at a time. And six, kind of think back about what got you off track. So that when and the time comes, and inevitably as you're kind of on your game with stuff, and even if, once you get into a groove and momentum, there's going to be a time where it's like you kind of get off track a little bit, and you got to be like, all right, what caused that? Let me get back on track ASAP so that you can keep making progress moving forward. So much love. I hope that helps. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like, subscribe, or leave a review on the podcast. Leave a comment on the video. I appreciate you. Cheers to another episode of the Gains by Pat podcast. We'll be back super soon. Much love.